Okay. We are live.
Guys, welcome to the Steady Truth. And tonight we're going to be diving deep into the topic of social programming and social conditioning. I don't know, this speaks really true to me right now with what's happening in current events, but it's really interesting if we go back to even our childhood, that leads into our adult life, the things that we have been conditioned to believe to be true. There's just so much. And I know the three of us individually and together have been working on releasing, letting go, unlearning, deprogramming, and all that stuff to live out kind of our unique life, free of, the things we've been conditioned or told to do. So I don't know. It's a big topic. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, I think like a really important thing to talk about too is that like even as we kind of get into the topic of social conditioning, I know the three of us, I know lots of people get really fired up about some of the things where we feel like we're victims to our social conditioning. So for example, like a lot of us have been told like, growing up that we are supposed to work hard and that our value is in our work.
Mhm.
But an important part to remember as we're talking about all of this is that no matter what, we are conditioning our children.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether you're conditioning that, like, it could be consciously, subconsciously, intentionally. It can be in a different way than we were conditioned, but it's still conditioning. And so I think an important part to remember is that we can be angry and frustrated about the social conditioning that we've had, that we're not happy with, and we can be angry with like how society is socially conditioned, but no matter what, we are conditioned. So I think it's a really fun topic to explore my own personal beliefs and conditioning, and to even be curious of like, how have I been conditioned in a way that I don't even know yet, like that I haven't even revealed, that it hasn't even become like truth to me. So I think that that is really cool about the Sweaty Truth, is it's like a safe place to be vulnerable and to share and to explore and to know that we don't actually have the answers. And even like, sorry, I'm just going to turn this brightness down a little bit. What I say today, I could change tomorrow because I'm always learning and always growing. So if we say something at any time that you're like, hey, I actually think I could reveal something to you, like reach out, comment, pop on, like this is a conversation. So let's get started.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that comes to mind that I've been kind of talking about that, we can start with the easy stuff and lead into the, current event stuff, but just about, you kind of mentioned it there about working hard. So you have to, get a job, full-time job, you have to work, have a mortgage, pay off those bills. You need a pension, you need security, you need all the retirement, stuff. And yes, the retirement is important, but I think, you get stuck in jobs that maybe you don't love because that's what you're supposed to do is you get a job, you stick with it, you work your way up the seniority ranks, and then have your pension, all these things, and wait until retirement. And this has been a heavy topic in my household, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah. Well, like I even think back to like growing up, I probably adopted the belief myself. I don't think that my parents implemented it, but they equally supported it. I always felt like work was more important than anything else. So I would easily, it's Thanksgiving, sorry, I work at a restaurant, so I'm working. And I constantly like brush off my family for work. And that only lasts for so long when you're like, oh, it's actually been 5 years since I've seen my family because I'm still working. Because we put this, like we've created this scale of what value is. And so we've put work at the top for so many people. I feel like people that do put family at the top, it's amazing and incredible. And like, that's pretty cool. But I think like, I know myself, like even girls, like you guys know, I've been like a little bit overwhelmed with to-dos and I'm working a lot more than I normally would right now. And I'm like, I'm falling into my own beliefs that I need to work to be valuable. Like the reason I'm working more right now is because I'm not saying no to say yes to me, because that actually makes me in a weird way feel better. Because I'm like, oh, I'm falling back to my patterns, which we talk about this in the meaningful more of like, when you're not fully supported, it's really easy to go back to your past beliefs of yourself instead of rising to your new version of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, no, I was going to say something in there and then it came and went about
I know, that's why I have a piece of paper. So if I like when it comes in, I'm like, I gotta write it down because
I
it's
know.
gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Long conversations, we don't have an attention span for longer than about 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Miriam.
Yeah, no, I was going to go back to the conditioning, and as you were saying, Leslie, like I have the same one. Like my parents, but I don't think well, maybe they told me, but mostly like the example, like you were saying, whatever we're doing, we're actually conditioning our children, and that's one that I really need to remind myself because, I have an extremely hard time to stop and sit and do nothing, and that's definitely something somewhat coming from my parents and watching them because they were really hard worker and they work really hard for their family, and I definitely have that conditioning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was not necessarily like told, oh, you have to work well, I guess I was told, but just watching, that's one that I really need to remind myself a lot.
You have to look for the small things. So it's like, I notice all the time, what do I say to my kids? Good job, good work. And I'm like, and I couldn't stop saying it. I was like, well, what else can I say? And Justin said, you can just say good effort. It doesn't have to the weight. And those small, it's the thing is like social conditioning isn't like, let's dramatically change the way you think. It's taking, okay, so we had an industrial revolution and we needed workers. And so our school system was all created to create workers for the industrial revolution. Well, the industrial revolution is over. We now need innovators and thinkers and creators and inventors. But those, when we made the shift, it wasn't dramatic. It was really small. And so the language also went with it, that we slowly shifted. It's like the boiling the frog analogy. It's like, if you're going to manipulate or program or condition, you have to do it slowly because otherwise people will reject it. But if you slowly sneak it in, whether it's intentional or unintentional, it makes a bigger impact. So the same is true for our own languaging with our kids. Like, we can't all of a sudden talk completely different to them, but we can choose our language to condition them for love and for self-care and for family and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Okay, there's a few things there. I was like, oh, there's like 3 things I want to dive into. But so one of the things I know we've talked about, like self-care and doing things for us. Like, I feel like that's kind of conditioned as like selfish, like taking time for you and away from your family and doing something that's just for you to fill your cup. I think we've been kind of like programmed to feel that that's selfish or that we don't have time. That's a luxury, when really it is a necessity and an essential, because if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't fill your cup up, you're going to burn yourself up, you're going to get sick, and you're going to be useless to the people around you. So it is not selfish and it is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And then even along the same lines about things we speak to our children about, I know for me along food, I was trying to change my language from like, oh, that's really bad, or that's good for you, that's bad food, that's good food, because it puts a label on it. And food is neither good or bad. It's neutral. It's food. It's how does it vibrate in your body? How does it nourish you? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel unhealthy? Does it make you, give you vitality or life? Like, so there's ways like you have to just experience food to feel it in your body to know what it means, but it's not good or bad. So I've really had to kind of like shift my language when talking to my boys about food. So that was another one. But yeah, then you kind of led into the stuff I want to talk about, what's going on now, but
Dive in. Let's not go back. Like,
yeah.
let's go.
So can we just talk about what's happening now? The social, like, I'm sitting at a playground and they've taken down the swings and the teeter totter, and it's right in front of our campsite because of like COVID rules. So we're conditioning our kids that like playing on stuff is bad and that you can get sick from touching things. But meanwhile, toilets where you sit, like communal toilets are open, but you can't have a shower. Come on. Like, where's the common sense in that? Like, none. Like the door handles, the knobs for the taps to wash your hands, like the locks, like the toilet seat, but you can't have a shower. Masks. Oh my God, that's a whole other topic on its own. But if you don't wear a mask, then you're selfish and you're harming people. You need to protect others. You need to keep people safe. It is your responsibility to keep people safe. The social distancing, just all of it that is happening right now. We are social programming at its finest. Sorry, I needed to get that
Yeah,
off my
I do
chest.
think like, okay, um, yeah, so I think like a lot of the things is preparing for, like, if you check out the World Economic Forum, you can check out what the agenda is. It's public, you can read about it. So I definitely recommend reading about the World Economic Forum.
The Great Reset.
Corey Morningstar, she's actually, I shouldn't say where she lives. So she's a journalist, a fabulous ethical journalist that I very much appreciate her writing and her research. She writes about the World Economic Forum. So I love to kind of read what she's written to kind of get snippets of it, because I don't need to read all of it. I don't need to go through that much detail. But some of the things is, so it's pretty, again, public that Bill Gates planned to use a microchip. And people have volunteered in 2014. I could be incorrect about that fact.
No, that's the year.
Yeah. 2014 that people volunteered to receive the microchip. And, if you talk about it in a social programming way, you go, it's really convenient because you can have your credit card in your bank and you can have all your health records there. And therefore it's so easy and convenient. Like, think about how many times you've lost your keys, you've lost your wallet, you've lost your social insurance number. This is going to protect you. This is going to prevent fraud. It's going to, put out all the amazing things. And the truth is, like, there is an element that's amazing about it. Just like it's really amazing that Facebook listens to us at all times. My Huawei phone doesn't actually turn off. So you think you turn it off and it actually doesn't. Yeah. It's always actually on and listening. And it's awesome because guess what? It's going to give me ads that are actually relevant to me of things I'm genuinely looking for. Okay, that's convenient. However, when it's not convenient is when you actually want to do something that doesn't go with the social norm. We went to last year, I think last summer, I went to a protest in Toronto for vaccine choices. So I don't get the flu shot and I don't want to get the flu shot. And I believe it should be my choice of if I have the flu shot or not. So I'm an advocate of choice. And our friend who was organizing the carpool to go to this protest, she actually got banned on Facebook temporarily for inappropriate conversations. So you take something that's convenient and it can be easily manipulated when you decide to go against the social norm. So you think about, okay, so now I'm gonna actually back up to how we're getting programmed for then the microchip. So getting your temperature checked. So you're now getting used to the fact that someone holds a wand up to your head, because then when you have the microchip, and that's, it's not gonna feel new. It's gonna be like, well, they already been checking my temperature. So put the microchip in. It's gonna happen around 2030, I think. Again, you can check out the World Economic Forum. You can check out Bill Gates. So now you're getting used to having this sensor. Already my kids are playing. They play like they've grabbed this toy and they pretend it's the thing that they read each other's foreheads with to check their temperatures. So they're already being programmed that is normal and that's acceptable. They're already being afraid of spreading their own germs. They're afraid of, anyone who knows me knows that I'm like very free with my children. And I live in an awesome neighborhood where no one's afraid of them, but they're already picking up on it because they pick up on everything. Waiting and think about, okay, currently in many workplaces, you have to wait in line to check in. Again, programming, because if you're not following exact social norms, they're going to reject you from entering your workplace. So it's all great until you decide that that there might be something that you care enough about that isn't the social norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miriam, and I know you've been following a lot Glorious and Free and some of the other civil rights. And I know Vaccine Choice just filed a lawsuit with Rocco Galati Ontario. So they're like suing Ontario for all these rights that they're taking away. And Miriam, I know you've been following that really closely. I don't know if there's something you want to talk on there. I know you've been following even the cashless society that's kind of coming up. Like that's a thing that's happening. So yeah,
Yeah,
anyways.
that's
Ooh,
definitely
cashless
another
society.
cash. That's another program, right? Like right now, we're told, oh, cash is the dirtiest thing on earth, which is not inaccurate. But then, because of the situation, we're told that we should not use cash, and we can. Well, stores are refusing cash basically. So that's basically the programming for a cashless society. But like if we don't have cash anymore, we can't do garage sales. We can't give some money to our kids or grandkids. We can't have like pocket money for the children. I don't. There's like so many things that you can't.
Yeah.
You have no
I
freedom.
can't pay for things with cash and remove the tax. Like, you'd be like, hey, do you accept cash? Yes, I do. I'll give you the tax off.
Yeah.
Things like that. That's all going to be all gone.
And in our society, it's okay if you go, let's go cashless. We are almost there. Like, let's be real, like a lot of credit cards, but we're not talking about just us. We're talking on a global scale. And you look at countries like, you go to Colombia. I don't want to say Colombia, but I'm going to use it as an example. I believe like in Colombia, there are classes of people who don't have bank accounts. So there are people, and specifically women, who in many countries do not have bank accounts. They don't have access to a credit card. They possibly have access to cash in exchange. They don't have anywhere to put the cash because they are denied bank accounts. So if you think about just in our culture, it's really hard to say that's a big deal. But if you look at it on a global scale, it is a really big deal, and it impacts the people who are most vulnerable.
No, and you brought up a good point, because that is happening here, right? Like, I was reading an article about this, or maybe it was from the Glorious and Free, Miriam, just about like without having cash, like think about like the people in domestic relationships that are trying to save up to get out. Like, they're just kind of slipping little bits of money to all of a sudden have enough to leave. Like, how are they going to leave? How are they going to escape? Like, what's that going to look like? Like, I don't know. There's so many things like that we just take for granted that we're not even going to realize till, it's going to be one of those things where it's too late. Then what?
Yeah. But I also hope to think that, like, even if it's to say like it's too late, like I do definitely have a negative eye on it right now. I'm not a fan of the microchip. I'm not a fan of cashless society. I'm not a fan of, that social conditioning of social distancing and being afraid of each other, because love and human connection is the strongest thing that we can do for our immune system. However, I also have to believe that we will continue to have choice. So right now it feels like really big that our choices are being taken away from us, but it's going to open up more choice in a different way. Like this, I don't know. I feel like
I think it's pushing people back to like its roots. Like, more people are gardening than ever before. More people are learning about, foraging. More people are learning how to like can and preserve. Like, people are doing things that they've never done before. So it's pushing people back to like, how can I actually take care of myself? How can I take care of my family? Like, how can I do this without relying on like the system? So I think that's pretty amazing that that's happening. Look at this mosquito on my camera.
It is really cool. And people that have had, their first time away from work, because they've gone from, having a job from the age of like 14 and always working, and that just had like a break, and to come to a realization that there is more. Like, there's family, there's nature. When I'm inside all the time, I get used to it. Like, when I go on like my work binges, I get used to being inside, and I almost don't crave the outdoors anymore, because it's like I've completely forgotten and disconnected. But then when I do go outside, it's like my body has that starvation mode where you don't realize you're hungry because you're actually starving. And then I get outside and I'm like, what have I been doing indoors? And I'm like, I just can't get enough of being outside and being in nature. And even just being on my front lawn, like, I don't know, I don't get to a forest very often, but I go on my front lawn because my neighbors are there that can socialize too. Wow, connecting with some grass and some trees. Yeah. And then you realize what you really care about when you have those moments. Miriam, have you realized anything different? Like, what's been a positive shift of our current social conditioning and the rebellion of the social conditioning. Like, I know
Which we
you
are all
have a
doing.
connection with
Yeah,
your neighbor.
I am curious if we're going to get censored and how much like comments we're going to get.
Yeah, well,
Guys,
eventually,
this is the sweaty truth.
Yeah.
We are rebelling. The three of us are rebelling against everything that's going on. Let's just put that out in the open. That's why we're doing the sweaty truth. We're getting real with you. Like, this is who we are. And this is, we're just going to come straight out with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used the word vaccine, so it could probably be taken down. We've used this Bill Gates, probably take it down, whatever. But what's funny is we're not even saying it's terrible.
I've been rebelling okay. I mean, I'm a quiet but still rebellious. What's the word in English?
There's a difference between rebelling and not agreeing and going with it.
Yes. And so, but like I've been really outspoken and not agreeing with things that are not matching my values. I really like what you were talking about at the last one of this times. There's values and there are rules, and I feel like all of our values are really valuable and strong and legit. And many of the rules that have been put in place lately are going against my values. So I've been rebelling. I'm not in agreement with kids not playing on playground. It's funny what you were mentioning about the toilet and the toilet open, washroom closed. So we were hiking on Sunday and we went in caves and it was gorgeous. But to go up and down those little caves, you had metal staircase, and you had a ramp and metal, which looks exactly like monkey bars or spider shapes, whatever that you found in a playground. And there was a lot of people walking around and going up and down those caves, and you had no choice really to be safe than to hold on to this. No one was there. There was no tape around. There was no one with disinfectant cleaning this.
Yeah.
And no one questioned it. And I looked and I'm like, why? Why is that okay? Because somebody is making money out of this, then it's okay to have it. And by all means, I do not want this to be closed. Like they have to be, they need to stay open. It was gorgeous.
It's just the double standard and the hypocrisy of it all. That's what it is.
Yes.
But I think that's what is actually creating the biggest issue right now, is that we're actually getting upset when someone doesn't follow the rules, because in certain areas we're following the rules and then we're upset that other people aren't. And even if we're on the same side, or like not even that there has to be sides, but it's like the frustration that like that was allowed. We're like, actually it's creating this disconnect with humans, because now we're judging that business because they were open and they're allowed to touch the metal and like things like that. But that's part of the conditioning. It's the conditioning of separating humans, about creating the divide.
Yeah, I don't judge them, and I think.
Go ahead.
Oh no, and I was going to say, when I see businesses like that, I'm sure Miriam was trying to say the same thing. Like, it's not judgment. It's just like, it's judging the ones that are closed. It's like, see, you're open.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. Like, if you can follow that, like, if you don't have to close everything down, like, that's incredible. And then you look back at the other one that's closed. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How are you closed, but this amazing business is keeping everything open? We thought about this with park benches. Super simple, but like benches, metal benches, like, but just things, right? Like, it's just like, well, that's awesome. Like, I'm glad that's allowed, but that means that everything should be allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's the language. So like if we replayed this, it's just the language. Like all of like the three of us, like we knew exactly what you meant, but it's the language, and then the language is what's perpetuated. And then the meaning in the language gets lost. Right. It's like someone, actually, I wasn't wearing a mask, and a friend goes, and I was in an establishment, and my friend goes, how come you're not wearing a mask? I'm like, because I took it off. She goes, I could just take it off. I'm like, you could just take it off. Like, no one's holding that mask on your face. But it's language.
Well, and I think they play that virtue card, right? Like, if you don't do this, then you're harming people, then you're selfish, then you're putting others at risk. And so everyone, like, people are good. People are really, really good, and they want to protect everyone, and they want to help, and they want to do the right thing, and they want to like be good, not realizing that it's programming and taking away our rights and, all these things. And yeah, I don't know, Miriam, you wanted to say something before.
Oh no, I mean, I guess I've been rebelling against everything that's not fair, which is kind of my tendency. Like, not fair. Kids should be allowed to play outside. It's not fair that we are muzzled with masks when it's actually proven by the highest organism that are directing everything that actually it's not worthy. Like, it's just this, and it's not fair that we are being put programming to fight against each other. I think that's the one I've been rebelling. Like, I just can't stand that, seeing good
Mhm.
human being with a big heart being actually programmed to dislike other human being. That is
The
just
divide. Yeah.
the divide. Like, and it's all programming. It's just programming.
How's the biggest programming? When you're a critical thinker, able to do your own research, look at things on your own, are empowered, you're a conspiracy theorist. How is that for programming? Like, that's one of the biggest ones, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at science, if you ask any like true scientist, what is good science? It's continually question theories and the truth. And so therefore, like, we should, and we should question ourselves, and we do, right? And we're open to questioning, but we should be open to different not even just ideas, but look up other facts. Like, look them up.
Look up the other side. Dive
Yeah.
deep into it, but actually look it up and not just say like, oh, it's biased, close the book. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, we're just talking about the words. I think that's a whole other podcast of getting into like why we believe this way, or like the science or whatever. I don't even know if we need to, but
yeah,
to kind of back it all up.
I think because it's the social programming. Then is like, if you're going against social norm, you're going to be called a conspiracy theorist. When if let's like some of the things that were considered conspiracy theory was like that supplements work. That was considered a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, there's supplements that are terrible for you and they don't do anything because they're not a good quality, but then there's supplements that do work.
Yeah,
So,
the big programming we're which we have been undergoing for a long time, and I've always been against, but that one I'm like rebelling really badly, is that we are putting band-aid ons rather than being healthy and encouraging people to take care of their own health and themselves by eating real food, by exercising, by taking their meds, taking care of their stress or their happiness, their body, mind, spirits. And instead of that, we're being programmed that we don't need to do any of that stuff because there are drugs or doctors who can just cut us open and fix something instead of looking at the root cause. And that one is just, yeah.
That's because, yeah, we've been conditioned to believe that anything holistic and alternative is quackery.
Yes.
Which is not true. It's the other way around.
And so I think we all rebelling really, well, I mean, we always rebelled again, that one, but I think you and Kristen and I specifically, we've been into foraging, and I've been into like medicinal plant and learning about all the stuff that nature has, and I know nothing, but my goodness, the little I've learned and read, it's incredible. Incredible. It's just incredible.
Leslie, you had a
Okay, this is actually like such a good example. I at least think it's a good example. So look at our lawns.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So,
yes.
So we say that we have a food shortage.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Yet, there are like lawnmowers that cut the sides of highways, when that's an area where like things grow there. And on our own lawns, like there's so much edible weeds and what we call weeds, edible plants that we could actually consume. And yet we just are like, it's an eyesore.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's another really programming, nice, right?
Beautifully cured lawn. And you look everywhere, like it's like the movies, like the dystopia. It's like we all have our cars all they all look the same. Our lawns all look the same. We have one tree. I actually remember my neighbor asking me if I wanted another tree. So this is about 5 years ago. And I was like, no, I'm good. I have one tree. I was like, I'm good. I have one tree because in my mind at the time, I was like, you should have one tree on your front lawn. You shouldn't have two. You definitely shouldn't have three. You should have one tree. Crazy.
Yeah.
And
It
I could
is.
eat my lawn if I just
Foods,
let things
foods,
grow.
not lawns. Yeah. Food, not lawns. I know that's what we wanted to do, is turn our entire front yard into like an edible, like forest orchard, fruit trees and herbs and vegetables, and just have like an entire like garden, because like that is so much space. And so people have such big yards, and it's just for what? Just to cut? Like that's a lot of work. Just grow food. Like there's so many things, right? But yeah, they have to be manicured. They have to look a certain way. And there's some like bylaws, like some places you can't even hang like laundry lines, like things like that, because things have to be cookie cutter, looked
That is
exactly
a
the same.
London bylaw.
Yeah.
You can have like the circular ones or square ones, but you can't have like a laundry line
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's an eyesore.
Yeah. Sorry, Miriam, what did you?
Oh no, I was just thinking like back to the food, like the programming we had that about weeds.
Yes.
It's actually not a weed. It's like edible plants that are just growing on their own without being planted. Like it's that and I remember, I mean, up to this year, like a month and a half ago, weeding purslane out of my my veggie garden, and now I'm like, no, this is awesome food. Keep growing it so I can harvest more. And making like, I don't know, just all this, using them, and I don't know. Yeah, this is a big programming that I'm totally rebelling against.
I know, you should see our front lawn. I think some of you guys our front lawn has turned into a pollinator pathway. We don't have grass anymore, so it's just one step closer to just growing food.
I actually I'm rebelling, and then I left the part of the sidewalk that's close to the street, and I actually threw all kind of seeds that I had for pollinators. I'm like, hopefully it grows, and if it doesn't, just the weed will keep growing, and next year I'll be pollinator pathway as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was curious. I don't know if any of you guys have your computers open. I just went to see if I could look.
I don't know if so
I don't know if
Devin's on, Brandy's on.
I don't know if anyone has weighed in, if there's any comments, if there's anything like, so what does like social conditioning mean to you? What's something that's comes up? What's noticeable to you? What are some of the things that bother you? I don't know. Like, I'm just curious what other people think of social conditioning.
Yeah. So Devin said, I think self-care needs to happen on the regular too, not just once or twice a year kind of thing. And it needs to be part of your routine. And I agree, like self-care does not equal selfish, and things like, and only you know what's truly self-care. Like for me, self-care would not be going to get a pedicure, but for somebody else that actually really could be self-care. So everyone gets to define what self-care is, because they're the only one that can judge. Is it filling your cup, or is it filling the expectations of what you think society believes that you should be? So that's totally on us to get to decide. Actually, I was thinking a little bit about social conditioning right before our call, and I was thinking about my kids and how my desire for other people to believe or see that my kids are well behaved.
Yeah.
And the conditioning of like, I'm not a good parent unless my kids are really well behaved. And what I'm seeing more and more with my children is that if they are not sharing their emotions, they're suppressing them. And so that's not actually, like, there's, again, only you know what's true for your own kids. Like, I definitely would have no idea what's true for you, and that's for you to decide for yourself. But for me, I am ready to change my benchmark of like, what does it mean for me to have good kids? And it's definitely not for them to behave. And it's going to be something that's going to be hard for me, because I want the rest of the world to think that I have good kids and that I'm a good parent because I'm a good person, because I'm, still trying to prove myself, and the only person I need to please is me, but that's still tough.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think this is like a huge topic. We could probably talk about this forever, but the light is attracting the mosquitoes. I'm just like, so I don't know if there's anything else that we kind of want to dive into or talk about. I think we talked about all the big ones. Like, guys, like right now, like pay attention to what's happening and what you hear. The words essential workers, stay safe, stay like, stay home, like protect others. What's that?
Do your part.
Do your part. Yes, wear your mask. These are all programming words. This is not like, it's just no, just say no, please. And if you want to know why we believe this way, reach out to us, because there is science, there is research. We're not just rebelling to be idiots. This is something that we've studied a lot for years, and even more recently have dove deep into a lot recently. So yeah, if you want to know more why we think this way, or why we believe this way, please reach out. We can have a whole conversation about it. And if you are feeling stuck in your, limiting beliefs, in your conditioning, if you want to release them, if you want to unlearn, if you want some to go deprogram, then reach out to us. Let's have a call, because we have been there. We're still doing the work. We've done the work. We're constantly learning. So reach out to us. Let's have a creating clarity call, where we can figure out where you're at, where you want to be, and what's getting in the way. And we'll provide some intuitive insight to help you get rid of those programming and conditionings, get rid of those limiting beliefs, because you are limitless. You are infinite, and we want to help you step into your full, absolute, unique potential. So we are here absolutely to guide you through that. So reach out, comment below, let us know. We'll reach out to you. What's the good?
Well, we believe in raising leaders. We believe in raising a community. And so this takes you. If you're watching, this takes you. We believe in raising a community. Or we want to raise a community that believes in raising leaders that are wholeheartedly connected to the earth. And we believe that when you live with peace and purpose, you will absolutely naturally teach your children to lead with their hearts. And that is what is going to change this world, because more than ever, we need human connection. And if you are feeling fearful, you haven't reached the truth. I believe the ultimate truth is love. And so the three of us all together have our own magic. And when you book a call with us, a creating clarity call, you get all three of our magic. So Kristen has done, again, research. She's the analytical one. She's going to tell you straight as it is. I am going to help you uncover what your intuition is saying. So what is your personal truth? Because it's different than our own. And Miriam is like a warm hug who loves on you, and she has this magic about her where she can see the absolute best in you, so you don't have to feel like you have to put any front, because you have someone that can actually see right into your heart. And some people are afraid that they're giving off bad vibes. Below anything, ultimate love is the essence, and Miriam sees that in you. So book a call with us. We're here for you. We believe in you, even on the days you don't believe in yourself.
So maybe comment in raising leaders. I don't know.
Raising leaders.
Yeah. So comment below raising leaders. If we see that, we will reach out to you, and yeah, we'll get started. So looking forward to connecting with you. Thanks for coming on, listening to us rant about important topics that are going on. And I'm getting in by mosquitoes.
Yeah, go.
So I'm gonna go. All right. Thanks everyone. Hope you're having a fabulous night. And yeah, we'll chat soon. Remember, raising leaders. Raising leaders. Comment below. Bye.
I'll end it for all.